Yes, you are welcome to the second discussion segment on nationalism and you. We are still at this, your darlings program this morning on ITV. We will be taking a crucial look, or taking a look at a very crucial issue that has to do with revenue collections, revenue remittances by government agencies, departments, and how good it has been, say, appraising National Assembly oversight functions of government, department, and agencies, the issues. That is what we will be looking at this morning. And with me to take a critical look at this issue is no other person than Mr. Nusa Suleiman. Mr. Nusa Suleiman is a revenue recovery expert and development consultant. So, Mr. Nusa Suleiman, you are on a hot seat of nationalism and you. And I say to you, nationalism and you.
Yes. Good morning, Nigerians. Yes, it's a pleasure for being here this morning on these national issues relating to these unremitted revenue and taxes. And as a patriotic citizen, I've been on research on this for over 15 years. The lapses of the MDS on these revenue issues. In the comprehensive data we have so far, 36 trillion has not been remitted to the coffers of the governments.
That is a very big one.
A very big money.
And our total indebtedness is about 33 trillion.
Sector, oil and gas has not remitted 11 trillion naira. Immigration and immigrant activities has not remitted 10 trillions. Other industrial and commercial activities has not remitted 8 trillion. The problem facing the revenue sector today, the MDS has taken the advantage or the privilege, if I may say, to undercharge. Why the taxpayers underpaid? We have 3 to 4 or 5 issues to take care of or to look at this morning. The problem of undercharging, if I take example from the mining sector today, the cement manufacturing company has produced and sells nothing less than 14 trillion naira.
Over
10 years now.
Okay.
Then, when you check the template which is being used or prepared by the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, it is not the duty of Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to prepare the value of the mineral resources.
Whose duty?
The duty is the duty of the Nigeria Commodity Exchange. The value of resources to Naira is different from managing the resources. There are two things here we need to be very, very careful. When you talk of the royalty today, we have 5 different royalty. Number 1, we have the production royalty. We have the art valorem royalty, which is the only royalty that is being used, but still yet they cannot maintain it. We have profit-based royalty. We have hybrid royalty. And as well, we have the quasi-royalty. The market value of limestone, which is being used to produce cement today, was undercharged. The price The market price there, which was fixed, is 600 naira per ton.
And what is the charging?
The 5% of 600 naira is 30 naira. That is the royalty they pay, with the exception of the production royalty and profit base. Now, when you check critically, the price of cement today is 3,500 naira per bag. 20 bags is 1 ton. A ton of cement price today is 77,000 naira. But the raw material, which is limestone and gypsum, was found in the country. Nobody is importing it. 600 naira against 7,000, which affect the life of people today who cannot afford to pay house rent or to build houses today because of the high cost of cement, which has the highest production in the indices of revenue today.
Okay, taking a look at all of this analysis,
Yes.
Whose duty is it to play oversight functions on all of these segments of government agencies and departments in order that we may generate appropriate revenue as ought to be? Whose duty? And what is the place of National Assembly
the duty
in their various committees?
In their various committee, you see, when you check the law itself, which was implemented, the Mining Act, when you have a license, you pay royalty. But when you check the Revenue Act, there are a lot of things that are mixing there. What is mixing here is that the undercharging and underpayment, which ought to have been curtailed in the act we're mixing. So it requires an expert, or rather, the government may require or appoint an expert in order to ascertain all these differences. Because when you say royalty, and even the royalty price were undercharged, you cannot maintain it. When you go to quarry site today, you will see that some of them has 200 tons per hour, running 2,000 tons per day, and they will end up not even paying up to 500 tons. So when you talk of non-remittance, diversion of funds, smuggling of resources, in the crude oil sector today, the flat rate 10% that is charged is not being monitored. There are a lot of leakages there.
Before we talking about crude oil sector,
yes,
there is a contention that about $62 billion were not remitted to the federal government. And the court even gave a judgment that the government should recover the $62 billion from the oil corporations, from the various oil corporations that were involved in this and the rest of it. Recently also, what do you call him? Barrister Femi Falana is threatening to sue the Attorney General of the Federation if they don't recover this 62 billion. Our external debt is put up to about 35 billion or thereabout, and the rest of it. Should we threaten any court actions in order to recover a legitimate revenue that is not appropriately channeled to the government as ought to be? One. Number two, the government have just said that they are going to set up a panel for recovery of this revenue, this oil revenue, and the rest of it. Do we actually need a panel? Don't we have institutions in place whose duty it is to do this?
Yes, the panel is not the problem. The problem is an expert who will supersede and report back for necessary actions. That is the problem we are facing in the country. When they set a panel, and the panel, most of the members of the panel who are not experts, they don't have any experience in the coal sector, how would they be able to assess and give a final report or logical conclusion to this? It requires an expert who knows what is going on within the coal sector, who will be able to present it to the appropriate agency. If I may say, like the office of the Mr. President, when you present this kind of comprehensive result, how to reach Mr. President is the problem. If you take it to any other agency, it will be swept under carpets. It is not an issue of panel. It is, if the government is serious, they should open it on air, calling the expert to assist the government for this recovery, like we have it here. That is the problem. Because if you can't give what you don't have.
Very well, very well. Now, talking about undercharging,
yes.
Undercharging and inappropriate remittances, inappropriate remittances. I want to take a look at two issues of government department. The issue of Nigeria Custom. Before Hamid Ali came on board as the DG, at the Controller General of the Custom, Custom was grossly under remitting. Grossly under remitting. As a matter of fact, they were remitting in billions, but since Ahmed Ali got there, they have been remitting and contributing significantly to national budget in trillion. Just only 2 days ago, and the rest of it was recorded, that even on a port that just reopened, how many days ago, generated some 128 billion and things of that nature. So then you come back to the JAMB office, where you have Professor Oloyede. There was a report that for some 10 years, the JAMB did not even remit more than 10 million. But since Oloyede got there, on yearly basis, it has been in billions and things of that nature. My question is, do we need individual to ensure appropriate remittances, or it should be an institutional matter?
Yes, individual, a neutral body as an individual, an expert, just like I said, is very, very necessary. Because when the government establish any board, agency, or wherever, the only way to assure an optimal revenue base is when you engage a neutral body and reports, so that if any report is well acknowledged, it will be taken into an account and for necessary actions. So now, like all this, my major area is the resources, what we are losing. As an expert in that sector, I know what is going on there. I know, like, the way they remit, they smuggle the gold today. How they smuggle gold from Nigeria is that there are what they call NXP forms from the banks when you want to run your exports. When you have your permit or your mineral title, that is number one. Number two, if you want to run your export, you go to bank, you pick your NSP form. When you fill in the NSP form, it's 6 duplicates. One is going to custom, one is going to CBN, one is going to FIRS, one is going to Mines Office, one is going to Nigeria Export Promotion Council. You have one copy. If you want to run export 1,000 times today, you use NXP form. But what it does in Nigeria here is today, they use the international intermediaries companies like HGS, like TNT, like Cobalt, and so on and so forth. They go there, take this product to the international intermediaries companies. They run the analysis for you. You pay for the analysis. They raise the certificate of inspection to an importer in abroad. And the importer will pay dollars to your accounts. How will they reflect revenue? When you talk of issues where people use so that is an outright cutting corner. Outright cutting. There's no way. It's not an expert that will be able to detect like something is going on here. If you stay in FIRS, how will you know? They can use another account to get this pound. They get it in dollars. It's only an expert that will be able to bring these differences out. When you see some of this factory today in Abuja here, I have number of factory, the granite factory, who has run more than 20 billion naira sales. They use individual account for sales of these granites. But when you want to get the receipt from there, they give you the corporate receipt. When you check the account, it's nil. How will FIRS know? There are individual accounts that is linked to the corporate business, which is fraud. How will government get this revenue? Most of the people that run this mining activities, they don't have licenses. I have issues of some Chinese men who run these billions of nairas. They export gold. When you talk, they have security agents. I escaped I escaped bullet twice. Gunshot twice. As a result of inspection. Because they buy the security, they buy the mines officer, they buy any other person. So you can't get close to them. They run the illegal immigrants, food up everywhere, because we have the resource, we don't know the value. And we are crying, borrowing money outside there.
At the level of administration, even when you are not an expert, it is behooving on you to be able to reach out to bring experts in order to enlighten your position on issues and the rest of it. Taking that to the National Assembly, where you have various committees, Committee on Power and Steel, or Steel or whatever you call it, Committee on Finance, Committee on this and the rest of it, in their numbers in those places. Are they living up to their expectation, playing their oversight function, in order that we may be able to assess all of these informations and correct the system?
Like I said earlier, yes, there is nothing wrong with that. But what the government ought to have done is expected expert in that core sector is required, so that there will be check and balance. Number one, if someone has no detailed expertise in a certain committee, such body cannot make any comprehensive reports of what is going on. And there's serious compromise in the core sector. That is a problem. Like the Minister of Mines and Steel today. Minister is not an expert. He's an architect.
But as a minister, as a honorable minister, he can reach out and get and garner an expert to help him.
But what happened?
Because
there was, in 2018, they engaged about 100 consultants to come and run audits on the mining sector. What happened? They will give you the list. You submit this list and give it to them. You will not go outside their instructions. These are lapses.
Restrictions?
Restrictions. You can't do it. When we were engaged by Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, sometime in 2019, to recover on the remittance, we tracked almost 599 billion from 59 companies. We reported to
billion naira or $1 billion?
Billion naira.
Okay.
We reported these matters because there was a clause in our engagement letter that any proceed or differences of asset should be reported to the Asset and Recovery Department, which we did. All this was swept on the carpet. So how will government improve its revenue base? We have a lot of geologists, the mining engineers, the chartered accountants, who can be trained and employed to this core sector and bring out something for the government. They are lying, they follow, not doing nothing. They don't have opportunity or being engaged or trained to help the country. I know Mr. President is trying his best, but he can't reach out to all these areas. But there is need this time around to put all hands on the table, to be able to consider all these problems, to mitigate all these the lapse leakages is much. Nigeria is strictly reached. Nigeria is not poor. We only have poor management. The MDS are the problem. You will see them getting richer, and buying cars, houses, so many other things, without considering other citizens. Are we not Nigerians? Is that the kind of life we live?
No, we are on the platform of nationalism and you. And why we are raising this issue is because we want that better Nigeria, that glorious Nigeria of the dreams of our founding fathers, that Nigeria that will meet the aspirations of the collective aspirations of our citizens and the rest of it, and their goals. That being that, we have been doing a lot of borrowing as a nation. We have been doing a lot of borrowing as a nation. And I know that if the money is there, our president is a prudent leader who will not even want to go a borrowing. I am going to ask you a delicate question regarding recovery. some people are handling an issue that has to do with stamp duty. Stamp duty. The president himself is aware of this issue, and it is reported that the money from stamp duty alone, the money that can be generated from stamp duty alone, being collected by all the commercial banks and the rest of it, if it is appropriately channeled to the government's coffer, the percentage that should go to government, if it is appropriately channeled, we will have no reasons to borrow money from either abroad or any other this thing and the rest of it. What is your take on this? Are you aware of this?
I'm aware of the stamp duty, and I'm aware of many areas in which the government itself can benefit optimal revenue base without going out to borrow any money. The opportunity is there. But
so how do we ensure that all of these inhibitions to appropriate remittances that can preclude government from borrowing and have access to the needed resources?
Like now, I told you earlier 36 trillion is not remitted. For example, if I put a proposal now on this, how to reach Mr. President is the problem. Because there are some few individuals who are benefiting from this sector. So, these are the problem. If you prepare it to reach Mr. President for approval, become a problem. And this can even employ more than 2,000 staff, train them, and pay them from my proceeds. Because the MDA has taken the advantage of government representatives, because they felt they are the only people who reach out to the government without a neutral body. So there is serious connivance and compromise. So if government is very much ready, they should be open to the public. Please, we need an assistant of an expert in this area, in that area. Please come and assist how we can harness this revenue. You'll be surprised. But
the truth remains that, like you said, all hands should be on deck.
Yes.
If you try one route to get to the appropriate quarters where this sensitization can get to the government, because yes, I know every responsible government will want to block leakages. Yes. And recently, even the National Assembly, I think precisely, Mr. Senate President said that the government should look for more creative way of financing budget deficit instead of borrowing. And if we have money that runs into trillion
in Nigeria
that are not remitted, you're talking about 130 trillion, but I am very familiar with the one that that one is even in trillion also, the one from the stamp duty, and that has not been appropriately channeled to the government as it should be. The case is with EFCC, the borrowed, the what do they call it? Code of Conduct Bureau is handling a case on this issue I am talking about now, because some good Nigerians, some veritable Nigerians, some uncompromisable Nigerians, who are refusing to keep their mouth shut, are doing the right thing, so that government, particularly our amiable president who wants to build infrastructure, can have access to money without borrowing and things of that nature. From your fronts and any other fronts, as citizens, shouldn't we be doing the same thing and make sure that we raise our voice? If you go as individual, they don't allow you, you go as a civil society organization and that kind of a thing. What do you think?
That would be the best way. With the help of the media, it will help. With the help of the media, it can reach out to the appropriate channel, and the necessary measures, I think it will be taken, because we will not relax until this is our country. We don't have any other home. You understand? People need job, and there are many ways to give job through this means. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is that we will not stop until it reaches out to the government and the necessary measures is taken for the betterment of the country.
So what is the way forward?
The way forward is Still, you can't do without the government. We need the government needs us. So we
elected them. We are the government because they are just representing us, because all of us cannot be on the same seat at the same time.
Yes, what we need them is that we need them for them to bring us in to help them. So if you don't help them, how will they get it? There are more to it. When I tell you about crude oil today, maybe if they have exported 1 million barrels, maybe if the data we have so far, you see that even 40% has not been remitted. Who will account for it? Whatever they present to the FAC or the Revenue Indices Authority, it is what they present to Mr. President.
I heard that. I heard that they said that the Minister for Petroleum says that it might be difficult to recover the 62 billion that the multinational corporations did not remit and that kind of a thing. I said, why so? Because I said why so? Because the oil spillage that happened between, what do you call it, Gulf of Mexico and the rest of it by Mobil, Exxon Mobil, and that kind of a thing. I saw how Barack Obama penalized them with huge billions in cost, and they paid because he did not waste time to recover it and that kind of a thing. And we, a nation that is going and borrowing, and some 62 billion are unremitted, and the government will not be so strong and firm as of how to collect it. What do you think is the cause?
Yes, that is the how do I put it? The kind of persons involved in the system who twists information. When you bring it out, they try to counter it. But the best way is the civil society will play a major role in this. I think I'll be very much glad with that, so that at least we'll raise alarm and something has to be done. We will not stop. You understand? Because there are some few persons who knew they have interest in the something, and when you go further, they try to even threat your lives. You understand? I know what is going on in the country. When they look at it that they can't stop you, the best way is just to eliminate you so that they can have the best way of enjoying that fun. It's the truth. It's the truth. You understand? Although the civil society, at least with that, I think something has to be done. We will not keep quiet. This is our country.
What is your last message to the nation?
My last message to the nation is that we should, some of us that are being into the field for research and trying to bring out what is going on there and trying to make the government understand the best way to stabilize the economy of the country. We should not relent. We should keep on doing so. And government, please, especially Mr. President, I know he's trying, has been trying. There's no way Mr. President will get an information that will not act on it. You understand? So we are pleading, at least trying to, seek for his intervention into this matter, that the country is well rich, that's require to look out the revenue activities and how to get the optimal of this revenue, on remittance of revenue, and the undercharge.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have been talking with Mr. Nusa Suleiman, a revenue recovery expert, and he actually can trace those revenue even when you are sitting on them or mashing them on the ground and things of that nature. We only hope that when we have opportunity to beckon on you again, you will make yourself available unto us. Nigeria nation is a nation that is in dire need of revenue to build infrastructures, and on yearly basis we have been projecting that so much trillions are needed to up our infrastructure in order to be able to build that Nigeria nation that we care for all her citizens. And we hope that those who are listening to us in government agencies and departments, they will behave right. Reach out to get experts where we don't have an expertise on those issues, so that we can do the right thing, make available to government, assist the government to succeed. And this is the essence of government agencies and departments. I remain your host, Ebenezer Oyetakin, on Nationalism and You. Until next week, Thursday, keep a date with us. But for today, don't change the channel, because ITV is here to educate you, to entertain you, and to keep on informing you. Thank you.